I wanted to see if I could tackle the what's coming in the next phase of my life question. Feels like there's a lot of that happening. And feels like there's specifically a lot of people wondering if the phase of their life that they're in right now is going to change. A lot of us are riding a very straight, possibly boring, lackluster, anticlimactic, just blah path. Even if it is that you've achieved the dream that you want, so that it's not such a blah path, but the feeling that you got when you achieved the dream was very blah. So let's see what's next, or let's see what's happening right now, who knows. This is interesting, recurring energy. Shuffle for 2 more. Just one more, girl. Come on. Let's get a full story. Thank you. Okay. I usually pull 3 cards. The 2 fell out. Very stubborn. You saw to fall for the 3rd card, and we had 2 cards fall out as the 3rd card. So I feel like it's worth noting that the energy that's trying to come out here really, really has a life of its own. The first card that fell out was the 4 of Wands, and then we have the 6 of Cups. These 2 cards together is very powerful Akashic Records coded energy, where something from your childhood. So the frequency I specifically got was the idea, or rather the general innocence and joy of children. I feel called to say that you should not believe you should believe that the feeling is possible. That blissful feeling of joy and being on top of the world and feeling protected and safe everywhere you go as a child. The way children are able to just jump forth into danger because they aren't aware of what the potential danger is. They just sort of leap in for fun because they're so safe within themselves that they are able to purely operate from a place of fun only. They don't worry about the other stuff. And also how at that age in childhood, there's nothing, there's not a lot of fear or other dark gunk that you eventually take on as you grow up and mature. So something about that frequency, be open to that returning. I like to mention how these kind of things can happen without your action. They can just overcome you. Like you could just be sitting in front of the TV watching a Netflix show, and suddenly you'll feel the pure innocence that you used to feel when you were a child, and you'll feel joy, and you'll feel safe, and you'll feel blissful and like just okay. You'll just feel all right out of nowhere. That can happen. However, the 3rd card that fell out in 2 cards with the Knight of Wands and the 8 of Swords is suggesting to me that it will take some action from you, but the action is not going to take as much effort as you think. With these 2 cards together, I'm getting that this is your source of power and life, and possibly even the source from which your childlike innocence kind of comes from. It's very innate within you. It has a fuel of its own. So again, it's not going to take much effort in the way that you think. The effort will come more from what I think is the blockage of this energy, which is limited beliefs, babe. Limited beliefs. And beneath that, we have the Knight of Cups. In the intuitive tarot deck, I love how the Knight of Cups is suggested to mean, or it's suggested to talk about somebody who is seeking meaning. This is, to me, the card of a poet, the card of a Pisces or Scorpio when they're in love, but not so much the projection of love onto the other, the feeling that brews within them, the feeling that you feel when you're in love, without the need for being in love with another person. That is what I'm feeling. However, with the Knight of Cups appearing, you know how in Tarotland we love to say, ooh, relationship coming. But I also would like to point this out because this has been a huge energy throughout 2026. I feel like I've always felt throughout the year, personally, that there will be a lot of unions amongst individuals romantically and amongst community, groups of people, friendships, and even like networking opportunities. And I think that is because of how the essence, each of our individual essences in their truest form is coming into being. We're able to embody it better. And through that embodiment, naturally, we will connect with people who we are meant to connect with. Beneath that, we also have the tower. So I would be open to having like really intense revelations that will literally change the way you feel. Like you realize something and suddenly there's this spark. It literally, yo guys, I'm sure like most people have experienced it, but I think that the level at which we are going to experience it in the future collectively is unheard of because of the amount of work we are doing to shed the energetic consequences of having limited beliefs. This kind of thing can really block how you bring things into your life. It goes on a very subtle level where, for example, because you think that I'm having an experience with someone I'm connecting with where they come from a background of a lot of limitations. And our connection is unlocking a lot of things about the limitations that they had. And we keep finding each other in this moment where they say, oh, that probably wasn't right to do. And in my mind, I'm going, what? What do you mean? Not only was that right to do, but there are at least a handful of people who I know who would love what you just did. Why would you think that that wasn't right to do? You know? And because of how they thought that wasn't right, they have essentially stopped themselves from experiencing situations where that thing is okay. They thought it wasn't okay, so they don't do it. Versus thinking it's okay, doing it, and then coming into multiple wonderful opportunities for growth and connection with other people. Because you got rid of that thought that says, oh, I can't do it. No, anything is possible. I'm grabbing your shoulders. Anything is possible. Anything is possible. You're really about to get into that and understand how much of you has been a you problem, how much you've been a problem to your own self. This is really nice. This is also, it's giving the ending of yearning to me, where you stop putting your desires and you stop putting your sense of eros, your desire. What is the other word for it? Eroticism. You stop putting it in other things and even in sex, and you realize how a lot of that is built up within you. But this is not a frequency of eroticism per se. Although I personally believe that eroticism and the root of all of life and sex and babies and love and all of that, they all come from the same place, but it doesn't look like we're dealing with it from the same place. It looks like we're dealing with it from a sense of feeling at home. It feels like something about some sense of abandonment you may have experienced in childhood is going to be rectified. That abandonment probably is the reason for the limiting thoughts that you had. So forgive yourself, be light on yourself. There are a lot of things happening inside of us, a lot of pains that are being unfolded from outside of us that we couldn't have done anything more about. It's just, like I said, it's part of the Dharma. It's part of your soul's agreement. And that's getting cleared, thankfully. And then beneath the tower, we have the 10 of Pentacles. So, and then the 7 of Pentacles. And as I was shuffling, I briefly saw the Temperance. So it's going to be a little bit of a wait, this next phase. You will have to, also, I would suggest journaling And I think also maybe I'm feeling the sense of having conversations with people, more conversations specifically about, like, try asking someone you care about the direct question of, do you think there's anything in my way that I'm not seeing? Observing from the outside in, do you see any ways in which I am getting in the way of myself? Do you think I have any limiting beliefs? Like, make it a productive conversation with someone you care about. It has to be intimate. I'm not getting that can happen just willy-nilly. It has to be very specific, this conversation you have. Could make it might be helpful to have it with somebody who from your childhood. So a best friend from childhood, or a sibling, or even your parent. Meditating on your inner child may also be helpful, doing inner child work. And I'm also feeling into like having more fun, doing more jumpy things. Like if you see a trampoline, jump on it. If you see a swing, swing on that. If you see a slide, slide on it. Everything to get in touch with that childlike nature. If you see a child, observing a child, yes, you get fruits from that. But I think there could be something more about participating with that child, and like playing with them and talking to them and getting some intel, get some intel from the children. Children are so amazing. They're amazing. They're not just intelligent. They're like, my belief is that because of their innocent frequency, they're connected directly to God at all times. So when you talk to them, it's a beautiful, like, signal into God. And it's very much like, because of their connection to God, they will, by chance, say something to you that might, be like, oh, like when you talk to children about money or about capitalism or about death, anything. They're just so beautiful. And we were children too. So, we still have that beauty. We still have that. Bathing. Why is that? Bubbles, playfulness. But I did get the suggestion to take a bath. I don't know what that's about, but yeah. And I think I'm going to leave it at that. Very pure, wonderful, beautiful energy. I imagine that you as the viewer you're as pure as what these cards are saying, and something about that purity doesn't need to be locked up anymore. And the locking up was fake. Like it was pretend. Like you were just, I think, maybe standing there because you were afraid to be free. Be freer, I saw this video yesterday of this really fun gal who I'm sure is about to grow into an incredible content creator. I have to find her name and I'll link it in the description. But yeah, she mentioned how, I'm paraphrasing terribly, but she said she unlocked a very stunning part of herself and of living life once she decided to be comfortable with being silly and wild and nonsensical and feral. And she grows out her armpit hair, and she probably braids her bush, and she's the babe who has the facial expressions and goes, "Don't talk to me about Botox." That queen, yeah, she's got it. Look at Sagittarius women, Scorpio women, Pisces women, but only when they're empowered. A disempowered Pisces woman does not have this. And I'm a Pisces rising, so I know. Plus, but Sagittarius placements, I feel like either you're a Sag placement or you could have a really good conversation with a Sag placement to uncover what's happening here. Anyway, I said I'd stop. Let me let you live your life, because you've got life to live. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next reading.